Well, hello, welcome to what may be our wildest edition of Hollywood Uncensored. I'm Sam Rubin. We have our 4 foxiest guests ever, and the only rule here, of course, no rules. Gaze into the eyes of Kurt Menefee, the host of Fox NFL Sunday. Stare into the soul of Kim Johnson from Dancing with the Stars. Attempt to comprehend the awesomeness of Johnny the Unit, man from Jersey Shore. Thanks for flexing. And the sexiest twin ever, Malika Haqq, is featured on E's Chloe and Lamar. And while Chloe and Lamar are a couple that really seem to get along, let's turn back the tables, clocks, a little more than 3 years ago to a couple that did not get along. Chris Brown made international headlines with his, let's just call it what it is, savage beating of Rihanna. The pictures of that night before the Grammys told the story, and to many they are unforgettable images, unforgettable perhaps, except to everyone but Rihanna, who recently sang on Chris's new album. He sang on hers as well. Listen to this.
It's not even my birthday. And he's trying to put his name on it. Girl, I wanna f you right now. Been a long time, I've been missing your body. Let me turn the lights down. When I go down, it's a private party.
And as you might expect, there has been some negative criticism about Rihanna becoming re-involved with Chris. A columnist for Billboard wrote Rihanna an open letter saying that she is making a mistake. Country singer Miranda Lambert was upset that Chris Brown was welcomed back at the Grammys. She tweeted about it. Malika, is Rihanna the most forgiving woman in the world, or is she foolish and setting a bad example?
It's a very touchy subject, obviously, for everybody. I think that I can relate to people saying it's a bad message. You don't want to send bad messages to children. But at the same time, I think after 3 years, maybe she's saying, hey, you guys, I was the one that was in this terrible situation, and I have a forgiving heart. So it's like you can choose what the lesson is for you. I don't know, you know.
But the distinction between forgiving and forgetting, and some people think this is trying to make people forget about it.
You know, I don't know if it's trying to make people forget, but I think it's one of those things that people like to tap dance around and be politically correct. Well, if she forgives him, who am I to say, look, the guy beat a woman. That's wrong. So there is no, oh, well, maybe, if this. She can forgive him all she wants. That doesn't mean the rest of us have to partake in that and say, oh, it was okay, that's in the past, and we all move on. Wrong is wrong, no matter what you do and how you try to correct it.
Right, but to me, I think some people are interpreting that she is, in fact, trying to help erase his wrong.
You know, and I would like to hear, especially from the women, I think that's part of, correct me if I'm wrong, being a young woman especially.
Exactly. I mean, I've never, been in a situation like that and never hope to be. So it is a very difficult situation, and you don't know how she's feeling. And 3 years has passed. Maybe she just sort of does want to forgive. Obviously, she will never forget. I don't know, it is tricky because, you don't want to be sending a message out to young women, especially, that this is okay. Because she is
22,
young.
23.
They're
both very young, and, when you're very young in relationships like that, that's so strong, and everybody saw them, and they're just in the light, and they probably had such strong feelings, and they've gone their way, and I've seen some of Rihanna's tweets lately, and they're kind of crazy, and maybe she had a tough time, and she went back to something that was comfortable, which was Chris at that time.
But
and he came, the words of that song,
right.
That'll make a girl forget about a beating real quick.
But here's the thing. If any of us have friends who've been in that situation, you never, oh, Bobby's okay. He's not okay. He's a creep.
Mm-hmm. Probably everybody around her is saying, don't do it, Rihanna. You're making a mistake. And she'll probably find out within the next couple months or the year. It's not a relationship you see going on forever.
They know better than anybody what type of scrutiny they would take for this union and doing the song and whatever else. But it seems to me that she's saying, I've forgiven this guy, and she may want other people to forgive him as well, but that isn't for her to choose. She chooses for herself, and we can kind of just choose to not listen to it.
And I doubt whether she would have the same reaction if she were a 32, 42-year-old woman.
Right.
As opposed to this happening to her when she was 19, 20.
Now, this letter in Billboard speculated what, if any, impact it would have on her career. Do you think it's going to be problematic? Will people...
I think it's great. I think it's great for her career.
You think it's great for her career?
Absolutely.
Why do you say that?
Everybody's gonna be watching them, and everybody's gonna be watching the both of them. Some fun stuff's gonna happen, some probably not very fun stuff's gonna happen. But you know what? It's gonna be a lot of attention on Rihanna, even more than she's had, and she's gonna be the center of the world right now, probably with this. Everybody wants to see what happens. But it's cool that she wants to forgive, and that's cool. But I think there's really a sign that's like, love is just something that makes you forget logic altogether. And they probably really love each other, and they're not thinking logically. And all the best to him, you know what I'm saying? But it's
you don't beat people you love.
I think Kim's about to throw up.
No, I know. I just hope he's learned a very big lesson from this, I've heard like lots of people saying, should we give him a second chance and all of this kind of stuff. And it's, I don't know, it's very touchy because you do think of what he actually did. We've all seen, you know, what happened to Rihanna. It was horrible. So, yeah, it's a really tricky sort of...
I'm going to make an analogy in your wheelhouse. Is Michael Vick forgiven and forgotten?
No. No, I mean, there are people that allow him to play football, and it's the same political correctness. People go, oh, that's in the past, he served his time and all that kind of stuff. And there are people, though, that will never, ever, ever forgive him and will never look at him as just a football player anymore. And I think that's going to be the same thing with Chris Brown.
Yeah.
Wherever he takes the stage, people are going to see him as the guy who beat Rihanna, not necessarily just a singer.
The majority of these people, the majority of America will forgive. I don't know about forget, but they'll forgive, especially if you have talent. Michael Vick has a ton of talent. Chris Brown has a ton of talent.
You know what? I think you make a very interesting point, because I think as a culture, Americans are very forgiving people. And we do like this arc of like, oh, they were bad and they redeemed themselves. But some things I think you can't redeem yourself from.
And that's almost like saying that you can't make mistakes.
Oh,
And I
that's
don't
more-
in
that's more
any
than
way.
a mistake.
A mistake is running a red light.
No,
Yeah.
but I'm
Or a
saying,
mistake
like,
is having an accident.
no, it's true.
That's
But
not a mistake.
At the same time, it's not right any way you want to look at it. But can anybody get past the bigger things that they do in their life? That's what I feel like maybe we're not as forgiving in. Like, I don't know that she's saying, I'm going to be with this guy forever because we did a song together. This may be her way of saying, I had a really tragic and terrible thing happen to me in my life, and this is how I get past it.
Maybe moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I
forgiving
don't
him in
know.
some
I don't
way.
want to be like terribly judgmental. And look, I have nieces, you know. And they love Rihanna and they love Chris Brown from a music standpoint. And I think that the talent is one thing, and what people do in their personal lives is something completely different. So,
Well, speaking of moving forward, here we jump back. Whitney Houston in her final resting place, but many can't resist when it comes time to comment on her passing. Plus, our special Oscar edition of the Crystal Ball is on the way. Stick around. Hollywood Uncensored continues right here.